Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass.
So in today's episode, we are going to be reviewing the Daphne and Velma movie. So I guess it's particularly exciting to be doing this episode because just over a year ago, we started reviewing these movies, like the three of us, and we finally got to the last one.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, we started this out doing the Zombie Island movie when we were all, young and healthy and happy, and now we're kind of old. We're old people now. But
JayBee's old.
Grumpy and unhealthy.
We're still alright. We're still kicking it. We're still going strong. But oh my gosh, I can't believe it. How many movies now? Like 51, 50. It's just crazy how many we've done, and we're ending it with Daphne and Velma.
Indeed. So for those of you that haven't seen this movie or haven't seen it for a while, haven't watched it many times, just to review the plot really briefly. So basically, this, as you can guess from the title, literally centers around the lives of Daphne and Velma. Velma's kind of based, they're based in the town where we're going to be starting this. I think, is this a Coolsville one? Is it a Crystal Cove one? Or are we in a completely new location here?
The school's called, Ridge Valley. So I assume it's in a place called Ridge Valley, unless... I don't know how many valleys they are by a cove.
Well, I guess wherever they are, Velma kind of lives her life there. But Daphne has this life where she's moving around everywhere with her parents, and they finally come to live in the same town as Velma. They've been friends online, and they're finally getting to meet and go to the same school. So Daphne's got this life where everything's done for her. Her dad kind of makes sure everything works out perfectly. And her life changes a lot when she realizes that, because she then becomes independent. Velma, on the other hand, they really aren't so keen to meet Daphne. Daphne was certainly the positive one driving this. Velma's kind of concerned to bring her into their life because the school there is a bit weird. It's very technology driven and people keep changing. And I guess the main plot is they try to work out what's causing that change, why the clever kids in school are starting to go down on the leaderboard, and ultimately unmask the villain at the end. So I guess that's a really brief summary of it. I guess first things really is to discuss the casting of it. So JayBee, as our resident Daphne expert,
Daphne,
tell us.
Well, I really like Sarah Jeffery in this, I've got to say. And I think because I've got a bit of a higher standard of Daphne than the average Joe Schmo, I think she's alright, and she wouldn't be like the initial person I'd say, oh my gosh, there's a new Daphne and Velma movie coming out, or there's a new Daphne movie coming out, let's get Sarah Jeffery in here, we need to do that, get her agents on the phone. That wouldn't be, my initial thing. But I think they do pretty good. I like it. I approve this message.
Okay. I mean, I think I'd agree with you that, there's nothing particularly wrong with the look of Daphne in this. They've styled the hair right. They're really positive. They come across really nice. And I guess that's all you need for Daphne. So, I mean, Smash, what do you think to the Daphne in this movie?
Yeah, I got to know Sarah Jeffery ahead of time. She was Audrey in the Descendants movie, the first one, before this, and so when I heard that she was going to be Daphne, again, it was one of those, okay, not my first choice, but I'll give it a go. Especially coming off of Descendants, because in that movie, she's kind of like the mean girl, I guess you can say, so I was like, oh, we'll see her in a different light, I don't know, I don't really have any complaints for her. It's just, she's a very average Daphne, but I have to say she's probably one of the highlights of this movie, though.
Okay, I'd agree with them certainly been one of the highlights, because next I want to speak about Velma, and I think I've never really made a secret of the fact that I'm not a huge Velma fan. I think Linda Cardellini is the best Velma we've ever seen, and this movie doesn't change things. This is down there with my least favourite Velmas. I hate the hairstyle, I genuinely do, and I know that's probably really bad to say, but I genuinely despise it. And her personality in this is just far too scatty. We get it, Velma loses her glasses and that's kind of her quirk, but generally speaking, Velma is really particular character. Like, if you think of the way that Linda Cardellini presented herself, the way she was always stood upright, she always seemed very collected and together, whereas this one seemed very, the word I'm thinking of is scatty, kind of like their brain can't stay in one place at the same time. Almost, I don't know, for me it just doesn't fit as a Velma personality, and I'm not huge on the look either. Smash, what did you think to the Velma?
She's, I don't love her. I don't hate her. I think the personality for me was the biggest throw off. Just to me, she feels stuck up, and like she's better than everyone else, except she won't like, because she thinks that she like won't talk to anyone, so then everyone makes fun of her and whatever. And so I like the looks and stuff a little bit. I mean, there might be like one particular outfit that I actually really liked, and she had like a little pin that was like glasses or something I thought was cute. But overall, for me, the biggest thing was just her personality in this movie. And this Sarah, I think her name is Sarah Gilman. I got to know her ahead of time from, she was in a Disney show called I Didn't Do It, and they're almost the same character, just this Velma character is a lot more stuck up. But in the other show that she was in, she was also like a nerdy character type thing. And so I don't know, I was like, well, she's not really going any different, same character, just. But yeah, I think for me, it's the personality. I don't like her personality.
And what about you, JayBee? Would you say for you this is more of a Kate Micucci Velma or a Linda Cardellini Velma?
Well, I think their Velma voice is not on point, you know. I don't think that they could be like, it is weird, like I said about the Mystery Incorporated, the live action Mystery Incorporated Velma probably works the least for me in terms of that universe, but I think they could be the actual official voice of Velma in the animation universe and stuff. So it's kind of like that. Whereas this, I almost feel the opposite way. I feel like this Velma would never be Velma in the animation, or they could, like, even I think Kate Micucci probably technically does a better Velma voice than Sarah Gilman, but I actually think that this may have been the best cast Velma that we've ever had for live action, right? In terms of accuracy, because
You're
Linda
kidding,
Cardellini is way too pink to be Velma. Like, she's a great Velma in the movie, but she's way too hot to be Velma.
So what you're saying is that this is the worst Velma, which makes her the best cast because Velma shouldn't be liked.
Velma is not a hot woman. She's not presented as a hot woman. She's just meant to be a typical nerd that kids like. And I'm thinking partially now about kids, right? If you're a kid, and some kids aren't very good. No, some kids aren't very good looking, right? No, that was offensive. No, it's okay. Some kids are like me. They're average looking, or at least they're not meant to be seen as glamorous supermodels, right? And so when they grow up watching Scooby Doo, if they like the live action movies, if they then see, oh look, the pretty girl's paying and the nerdy girl's paying, I think kids would feel a bit, you know, not included about that. Whereas here we've got a pretty paying Daphne, and not an ugly Velma, but definitely not a glamorous fashionista Velma, which is kind of what Linda Cardellini's Velma became. Now, I'd prefer Linda Cardellini any day. I'd prefer those movies any day. But I think in terms of bringing the original Velma to live action, I actually think that this might be the most accurate to the source material.
What you're saying is Velma can't distract from Daphne.
She can't.
Well, I think with what JayBee wants Velma to achieve,
It's not
then
what
they've
Hannah and
achieved,
Barbera
because
wanted.
I genuinely think that this Velma looks like a slob compared to Linda Cardellini. Like, within the first scene, she's eating with a mouthful, and it's like, honestly, Linda Cardellini's Velma would be cringing at how disgusting this is.
But in a way, I kind of like that because it's showing a bit of give and take in a way. Like, Daphne is attractive, right? She is a people person, but possibly at the expense of self-reliance. That's why you had Arwen having to run around and doing everything. Velma is really, really clever, really smart, but at the sacrifice of maybe a bit of cleanliness. Like you see with the original Spider-Man movies, Peter Parker's room is always messy, but he's a super genius. So that's kind of my thing.
Okay.
I sound like I'm defending the movie a lot like it's my baby, but I promise there's just a lot of things that I do like about the setup of it.
Oh, that's nice, JayBee. So let's get into the movie a little bit more. So it starts off by introducing like Bloom technology into the school, and I think we don't often see a huge influence of, well, I'm saying this, but most Scooby villains turn out to be like robots and stuff, you know, when there's like armies in like Aloha and stuff like that. Technology's at the centre, but what I mean is like, I guess we've never really seen technology introduced into their like lifestyle to this extent. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I guess smASH.
Honestly, to me, this seemed very cliche. At at first watch, I was like, "This is like a spin-off movie." It's like not, they're not Mission Incorporated yet. So, and we're in, I don't know, when did this come out? 2018. I was like, this just seemed very cliche. Of like, so they go to this huge electronical school, and so and it can be fun, it can be annoying, it can be distracting, it can be engaging. I this whole like idea of it, I guess I kind of kept going up and down with it, because there's another movie that it's not necessarily in the same vein, but in a way it reminded me a bit of it. And I don't know if you guys have seen Lemonade Mouth.
Yes, I love Lemonade Mouth.
I like had similar vibes of like, this school wants this huge sponsor and whatever, but they're not actually getting the funding for what they need. And that was like Lemonade Mouth. They were like the funding for all the sports and the gymnasium and stuff, but not the arts and whatever. And so the whole time I kept comparing it to Lemonade Mouth.
I mean, Lemonade Mouth is, I can't say that. I'll wait till the end of the movie to say the comparison, because obviously that's when we decide if a movie's good or bad at the end of the episode, right? But JayBee, what do you think to the kind of more technological reliance?
See, again, it's almost like I feel like I'm gonna have that phrase, that saying, what do you call it? You're gonna get splinters on your ass because you sat on the fence. And I think that's very much going to be me throughout this, because I'm then thinking about pros and cons. I think it's really cool. I want to go to this school personally because it's so awesome with all the electronic bins that go up to you saying, like, could you imagine that? I just finished stuffing my face and it's like, would you like me to throw that away for you, sir? Like, that's great to me. But then I think that I guess it's the production designer maybe should have done a better job making it seem more realistic to the universe. Like, how come a high school has all that kind of AI Tony Stark technology, and yet we see them driving the same cars that we drive, in our world, and we see that their rooms or the houses aren't technologically advanced. I guess you could say it's like the equivalent of a Tony Stark school, because it's all run by Bloom, but it's almost like, I kind of don't want to think that if there is a world with such wealth and technology, it's just going to be kept to one person. I kind of want to say that the rest of the world would follow suit with that as well. But yeah, it was cool.
I mean, it just sets up the premise of the movie, so I guess inherently at that stage I didn't have anything wrong with it. One thing that I did kind of dislike was that it was Ridge Valley High. I would have much preferred it to be Coolsville or Crystal Cove, just to kind of get that recognition at the start of, okay, this is Scooby Doo, this is where they're based, this is the comfort blanket. Because I think we discussed this with Morgan Baden, just the mention of Scooby in that book was like, here's people's comfort blanket, that this is still Scooby. And I think something like mentioning Coolsville quite early on, or Crystal Cove, would have done that.
Well, that's where I think that the mistake is. And I think this should have been. This is a you thing, Millie.
Oh, great. Blame me.
Or even if Rhianna was here, this should have been a her thing. I don't want to speak out against this because it isn't my place, but from my personal observation, it seems very much like people trying to produce, overtly feminist media kind of can fall into the trap of thinking promoting the female characters has to mean getting rid of the male characters. Whereas in actual fact, that isn't the case, because you can have them both and elevate other characters more than others.
I would say that, and I'm going to sound like JayBee here, this is ridiculous. I would say 2002 did a better job of highlighting feminism than this movie. Like, going from, like, if anything, surely this does the reverse. Like, you go from Daphne being so reliant on her dad that she can't survive for an hour without him successfully. Whereas in 2002, you have Daphne left on her own to kind of resolve everything at the end, and she does it. So, if anything, it's taken a step back in terms of the feministic approach of Scooby.
Yeah. And it's just...
I think you could even add the fact of, like, with that recently released pilot episode, The Mystery Incorporated on YouTube, I'm like, I feel like even they did a really good job of very subtly being like, highlighting Velma in that episode and being like, feminist power or whatever, like, because she was the one that was reached out to Fred and was like, hey, I'll help you out and stuff. And, it didn't have to be a big deal and nobody had to be cut or anything. And I'm like, even this, like, fan project, I feel like can do it in a more natural way.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, like you say, that the pilot episode gives such a nice dynamic to Velma that we very rarely see. But like with this one, it's skipping right to the end here. But if we're talking about feminism, because JayBee mentioned it, like, the villain is a female who was hiding behind the persona of a man.
Of a man, yeah.
And they could have done something with that, though, to be fair. They could have, like, they kind of say in passing, oh, well, no one would have let a 16-year-old girl run a company, but then it's kind of like, she's 16. Well, no, that's the point, but it's just ridiculous because they say that they have an emphasis on the age, but then it's like, no, she's 26, and then it's like, well, women can run companies. I guess it's probably more difficult, but then she didn't do the disguise as Tobias Bloom to run a legitimate company, which, again, to her point, would have been like, you could play on that, like, oh, it's difficult for women in industry, which I'm sure it is, right? But then it's like, no, she's going to use that power to then steal largely male students' ideas to be successful. So it's very ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I mean, going back to the start of the movie, because I guess that's where we are. We see kind of like a possessed girl in regards to the locker. So we see the locker's going to be some kind of villain. Or centering around that. We find out Daphne and Velma's relationship at the minute is they've been speaking online and then they're about to meet and kind of be friends, go to the same school, that kind of thing. And also, kind of like I say, briefly skimming over stuff because I don't feel like there's too much to dive into there. We also see Daphne's wardrobe, kind of picking her outfits out for her. And I want it to be said that I love her first day at school outfit. Like, if I could have the confidence and body that I wanted to and be the person that I wanted to be, oh my gosh, that would be my dream outfit. I love it.
How old is
so
Sarah
much.
Jeffery in this? Because I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh gosh, JayBee.
But I agree that, yeah, oh man.
The Daphne outfits, I think they do this first day at school one so well. I love it. I like how they call back to a classic Daphne one after this, but then I feel like it goes drastically downhill very quickly. I mean, Smash, what do you think of like the look for Daphne in this movie in terms of outfits and stuff like that?
I feel like it's very hit or miss. It's like there's some outfits where it's like on par, looks great, and you're like, okay, there's Daphne. And then there's others where it's like, did the costume designer just say, oh, there's purple on this, pull it out, throw it on.
And there's green on this, let's add that to it. Like, I don't know why, maybe it's an interesting narrative, I don't really know, but like, it was almost like they went, aliens, green, perfect. And it's kind of like, surely if you're thinking about this, aliens are more Velma because it's the science element of things. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Although I like how Daphne has a thing for aliens in this. I almost
Isn't it just like be cool? They're just trying to give Daphne a
but
quirk to
that's
make
the
her
thing,
interesting.
though. I kind of feel like they should have done more, right? Like, I know that I'm not a Scooby purist, right? Like, I drink the tears of Scooby purist for breakfast, but I no, don't laugh.
Gosh.
No, because I do really. I find it funny when they get angry over
JayBee!
nothing. What?
Just continue.
No, I find it amusing to me. It makes me happy.
Look, Rhianna's not here, so I've got to correct you enough for the both of us.
It just makes me happy. But I kind of wish that they'd gone harder with this interpretation of Daphne. Like, they could have given her like a purple princess palace room, but had planets dangling from the ceilings. Had a fascinated with aliens, almost like Lester's room from Alien Invaders. Like, I kind of feel like they should have made it a proper quirk if they're gonna allude to it, instead of just having, oh yeah, here's a bad looking t-shirt with an alien on it. Like, they could have used some of her research skills to be why she becomes a good detective or something. Like, I think they should have gone quirkier and harder with this alien thing.
I had a random thought. I know we kind of already have gone past this, but like Daphne at least at the beginning was doing like a live stream thing, and that's like where Velma was watching. That should have been Daphne's, like, Jeepers, it's Daphne from Frank and Creepy or something.
That would have been so good. I was kind of going to say this till I was giving my smash or pass verdict at the end, but I think what makes this movie... I'm just going to say, what makes this movie so bad is that we've just had the pilot of Mystery Incorporated, which is fan-made, okay? That was made by people that care so much about Scooby Doo, what it stands for, what it's done, what's in its history, what's its lore, that they have followed the rule book, they have followed the script. Like, they have followed every rule that's been set down by Warner Brothers so far of what exists in that universe, personally, I'd say. Whereas this one... And like I said, I really wanted to say this for the Smash or Pass verdict, but I'm just going to be honest from the start. It is like they took Scooby-Doo, they ripped its heart out because they got rid of Shaggy and Scooby, and then they made it a Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what they did. There's no fanfare in this at all, apart from trying to make one of Daphne's outfits, like, look like what it's supposed to. Like, they don't make it Coolsville. They don't make it Coolsville High. They don't make it Crystal Cove High. Like you were saying, if it was a fan-made thing, if it was made by somebody who really cares about the franchise, there was that pre-existing Daphne, like, online platform that they could have called upon. And it just missed on so many levels.
But it's sad, though, because if you look at the bonus features, the behind the scenes of all these, the people behind the film seem like they did more than their due diligence, right? Like, technically, they're like, oh, we're analysing this part of this character, we watched Where Are You?
Don't give me that crap, right? They can't even spell Daphne's name right on the behind the scenes stuff. No, don't even give me that, right? On the wardrobe clip, on the, like, there's an additional feature, and on that additional feature, there's the clothes rail for Daphne. They've spelled Daphne Daphne.
No, it was worse than that.
No, it wasn't.
D-A-P-F Daphne.
No, I wrote it down when we were watching it. It's Daphne. And it's like, if the people working on the movie can't spell one of the names that's in the title, who is even making this? I admire a lot of the people that worked on this, and obviously JayBee organises some amazing interviews.
Oh, bloody hell.
And but JayBee's always said that we try to be very honest in these, like, reviews and stuff, and so I genuinely think it's embarrassing that they spelt Daphne wrong.
It's feeble.
It's embarrassing. It's beyond poor. It's embarrassing.
It's poor. It's poor. I'll say that. And this isn't this isn't a fake thing, right? I'll say, like, this is awful, right? But I do want to say that what I mean is that they didn't seem like the most dedicated people behind the scenes. but from what they were saying, they appeared to have done the due diligence, is what I was getting at.
Did they went, it's Daphne, here's purple, here's green,
oh, well,
and
who was it that
cute.
said this ridiculous thing? I think it was Ashley Tisdale that said the worst thing about it. She was like, oh, I wanted the audience to know who these characters were. They could tell them apart, so we put one in purple and one in orange.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous.
And
it's like if you have to say
Daphne
that to differentiate these characters.
You couldn't get more different. One's Peng, Leng, and sizzling hot, and another one smells like Cheetos. You can't get more like a stark contrast than that.
It is embarrassing where like on the behind the scenes they're literally saying one's purple, one's orange. That's how you can tell the difference of who they are. It's like, where's the scripting, the direction, like the staging of this that differentiates their personalities? You can't identify two people based on colour. That's hitting on an entirely different issue.
Why?
Like, they are literally using like two colours to identify people, right?
Yeah, and in some cases, right,
Might as well just paint their bodies.
It works. Like when they're texting each other and the speech bubble are orange and purple. I like that little touch. But when it's just this is it. It's almost like, what do you want them to be? Do you want Velma to look like an orange? Are you an orange?
It's just, honestly, it's ridiculous. Although, that being said, we're about to get to my favourite part of the movie, which is where we see Daphne's dad. I mean, it genuinely is. Like, I saw it and I was like, that's Arwen! I was so excited.
Yeah. Oh, I love Arwen, because literally, I think the amount of times I've seen every Sweet Life of Zack and Cody episode is just unparalleled. Like, apart from maybe the 2002 movie, the Zack and Cody's the thing I've seen the most, and just Arwen, such a likable person. I think it's kind of funny how they paired Arwen up with, I don't know who plays Daphne's mom, but it's kind of a weird pairing, but I'm there for it.
I'm also kind of not there for how they cast some of this, because I love Arwen, I really do. But surely he gives off the personality more of Velma's dad. Like, if you think about the characters Arwen's played, okay, and I don't feel like he gets enough character development in this to base off anything different. Like, he works on stuff. He was kind of like, not necessarily a sciencey guy, but kind of fix problems and like Sweet Life, right?
Yeah, he's like a Mr. Fixer.
Yeah, so I don't see him in relation to Daphne, which is like stylish and people person-y. Likewise, we meet Velma's auntie, who is nothing like Velma. Like, there's makeup there, there's dresses there, there's like trying to stay up to date with new trends and stuff like that. They're far more of a Daphne character.
Maybe one of them messed around.
Like, it's almost like as soon as you lose the colours of orange and purple, this movie just doesn't make sense.
Although, well, see, I'm kind of thinking, again, I've got splinters on my bum, but I'm kind of justifying it in that, like, because you see, out of the two Blake parents, obviously the mum's the one that's kind of high-flying and stuff. Like, they're the one having, you know, meetings with Tobias Bloom. And so almost Arwen being more techie, more... Like, they probably would have been the one to stay at home and put the shelves up. Or to look after Daphne, as he was doing in this movie, whereas she was probably on business meetings and stuff. And so I guess it technically makes a bit more like sense that he's more DIY versus anything else. But,
maybe.
You know.
So we're getting to the stage now where they've gone to school. And at this point in my notebook, I've put Velma never looked this bad.
She did.
She didn't. Linda Cardellini didn't look this bad.
There's 50 years of animation. 50 plus
and
years
Velma
of animation.
didn't look this bad in any of those 50 years.
She has a hair like someone's mom.
Right. So we're starting to get into the spooky vibes of things once they start school. The lights go off.
Did you go to Spooky Island?
Daphne and Velma bump into each other.
I would.
And Spencer goes into the locker, which is when they kind of lose their brain as well.
Insane in the membrane.
And at this stage, has anybody seen the movie Just My Luck?
No.
Have you heard?
No.
Is it Disney Plus?
No, it's a Lindsay Lohan movie, and basically there's this thing where everything goes her way. Like, it starts raining and someone just kindly gifts her an umbrella. She does the lottery and wins like £1,000 like all at once. Like, she's so lucky with everything, and it's literally just like Daphne in this. But for Lindsay Lohan in that movie, it's when she has her first kiss, it transfers the look to the other person, and then everything starts going wrong for her. And literally the same happens to Daphne, but it's like when she worked out that her dad's been supporting her. There was like very much parallels with that movie as well.
I kind of get it. It almost reminds me of Domino from Deadpool 2, just the good look charm. Which again, I kind of just wish that they'd either gone all in on some of these concepts or not at all. Like, in a way, there was no real reason for like Owen to get like exposed. They could have just either played it out for longer. I just don't know why that was a storyline, to be honest, because it doesn't serve the overall plot.
No.
And if anything, I guess you can say, if like you put your feminist hat on, I guess she's breaking free from influence and now she's independent.
But then at least show her thrive on it, not like going to school the next day, which I guess is the part we're at where like everyone's like, oh, you look terrible. And not only that, but that's the time when they're trying to be true to the original Daphne outfit, been like, oh, you look terrible.
And I don't think it looks terrible.
I don't either. I think this is the last outfit where it looks good.
I'm sure there's, well...
No, because then she goes to jeans and a frilly blouse.
Yeah, that's
then there's something else that's ridiculous. I don't know. Anyway, so Daphne and Velma fight. They get taken to Principal Piper, who I've talked about before, kind of thinking that they were more similar to Daphne than Velma's auntie. There's the conflict resolution couch, which I guess just shows the technology element of this, but it's kind of weird how like it ends in a scene where Daphne and Velma practically are having their heads crushed together.
I kind of want one of these though. I'm not gonna lie. I think we should get one for recording these. So every time I start simping, we get mushed with the technology.
You'd end up crushed, like with the amount you simp, JayBee, it'd be ridiculous.
I haven't simped once this episode though.
No, so far you've done very well. So then the next person goes into the locker, which is like the main jock guy, I think, who they thought that was been like sabotaged.
To me,
I think I've skipped over a lot.
This isn't like a race thing, right? But to me, all these guys just look the same. So I was just thinking guy 1, guy 2. I was just thinking guy. It was just a guy.
So I guess this does trigger a part of the movie where I enjoy Velma's character, which is where they're like, okay, Velma needs to get to the top of the leaderboard. Because this is the only time where it's like, yes, this is Velma's character. Velma's intelligent, and it wouldn't be difficult for her to get to the top of the leaderboard in a couple of days.
Would it not?
No, I really like what they do with her character here, and it's the only part of the movie where I do.
So you don't get, like, not stupid people, but you don't get average people like me or whatever. Like, it's like a school specialised for clever people.
I presume not. There's some relatively normal people that actually should be at the bottom of the leaderboard.
So, yeah, I think Velma shouldn't have an issue getting up there, because I think one thing that we can say about Velma is she should have IQ for days, right? She should be big brain, and I think she is. I think she's mad brain.
So, in their quest to make Velma top of the leaderboard, they end up in the back of the locker kind of hallway thing, which is where the people had been disappearing to, and they see somebody in a tube. It's kind of like this weird lab. And they catch the ghost, and it's Arwen. And so a couple of issues I have with the movie at this stage is there isn't really a definitive monster. Do you know what I mean? I like it when you can identify a villain. At this stage, there'd just been the threat of a locker. We don't see like something that can be unmasked, really. And I don't like that. Like, for me, I'm gonna sound like a purist now, and I'm really sorry, but like, where's the unmasking? where's the villain? Like, we see this black cloaked figure maybe once or twice.
Chris villain.
And even then, that's unmasked to be Arwen. And that's just what they're going to be called. I'm so sorry. But, like, they just unmasked Daphne's dad, and it's like, oh, I had to keep an eye on her. And it's like, there's drones flying around this entire school.
Well, and see,
it
that's
wouldn't
the
have
thing.
stood out if you just sent one in to follow her around.
I know the actor's name. I know his Sweet Life character's name, but I can't tell you his name in this.
It's just Daphne's dad.
Isn't it like Ned? Let's say Ned or something.
I don't know.
It's Arwen. I mean, I kind
It's
of get what
Blake.
you're saying about being a purist and stuff, and there's some things that I'm definitely like that on. Like, although then again, not even pure to the original animation, just pure to the extent of what we've seen set up, right? Or just obvious ones, like in the scene, I guess that we're pretty much on there at this point with the spiders, you know, there's a fight scene, right? And you see that Velma's the one doing these ridiculous moves to, like, defeat them. And it's kind of like, shouldn't Daphne be the one doing
gosh, yeah.
that?
When we got to that, I would not got to that scene yet, so I've not kind of talked about it, but it is ridiculous. Like, let's take a few steps back here. Do we remember the first scene in Monsters Unleashed where they're fighting the Black Knight Ghost for the first time? Velma's there with the book, Daphne's there trying to, like, fight it. That's how this scene should have looked.
Yep.
Velma should have been trying to work out the science, and Daphne should have been trying to fix it. Instead, we have Velma doing the most ridiculous things, chopping up little white lines that are flourishing out of nowhere. It's painfully bad. It's terrible.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Sarah Gilman, you know, because I did see this interview that she did at a Comic-Con, and it was almost heartbreaking, right? Because you could tell, like, that the people behind this really didn't want to tie... Well, here's what I'm going to say. I think that what they wanted to do behind the scenes is make a movie empowering, you know, women, right? Which is fine. But then I think that they realised nobody would watch it unless it was based off an already popular IP. And so that's what they've done. They've kind of just used the names of the characters only just to sell a product. And so to that extent, I felt sorry for Sarah Gilman, because they were literally asked, did you watch Scooby Doo growing up? Did you watch, like, the animation? And you know, from our interviews, if, like, and because they don't have the pressure with us, because we're not press people, or we're not, like, they're not doing the rounds of press, so they're like, oh no, not really, you know, I don't remember it. Whereas poor Sarah Gilman, she was like, oh yeah, I loved it, it was like my favourite show growing up. And then she was asked, who were some of your favourite monsters? There was that one, and there's so many in this movie as well, and it's just so many good ones, so I can't pick. And it's kind of like, you can tell that she doesn't know. Which, there's no crime in not knowing, especially for the actors, because it's just a job. But it's like, you'd think that the people behind the scenes would have gone, okay, you know, watch this episode if you want, or here's some of the briefs, or even like some concept art of, it'd be cool if we could do this later down the line. But there was clearly no discussions even on set about any of that stuff.
This is the thing, is you said that this is meant to be a female empowerment thing. That was their ambition from day one. Oh gosh. I mean, Rhianna might disagree with me if she was here, because she's the most, you know, positive person in the world. But for me, I have never felt as a woman less empowered by Scooby Doo in my life. Like, if anything, I'm watching this like, where's Shaggy and Fred? Where's the men? Because right now, Daphne and Velma are just not doing a good job. I can list moments where Scooby Doo has felt relatively empowering from a female perspective. And I hate to make JayBee right about things, but one of them has got to be Sarah Michelle Gellar's Daphne at the end of the first Scooby Doo movie. It has to be. Like, it's impossible not to think that. Like, even to some extent, Velma, when she's working out the science behind the Black Knight Ghost and she kicks it at the end, that, as a woman, was slightly like, okay, even Velma's, like, doing good here. This is great. Like... But this isn't it. There isn't a single moment of this where I've been like, I'm proud to be a woman. Honestly, and this is going to sound terrible.
True.
For me, the moment of this movie where I was most like, thank God I'm a woman, is Daphne's outfit for the first day at school, because it's like, yes, I want to wear that. I would love to wear that. That's it. Other than one outfit, this movie does not make me proud to be a woman.
But did you hate the movie to an extent where you felt like you'd lost the right to vote at the end?
No, but I'm just slightly happy that I think the voting age is higher in America, because that's where this movie was created.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, see, look, I love feminism, right? And here's the thing, and I'm going to drop a few truth bombs, just briefly, right?
Oh gosh, this isn't going to be good for me.
And I've said this. I am a woman, pretty much. I am a woman. I don't identify as a woman. I'm not claiming that. But I always identified with women growing up, right? Because I always felt lonely. Like there was no representation for my people on social media, right? There were no coloured people on TV, and that was fine. I didn't have this massive thing like, oh, it's fine, it's all right. But then being a coloured person, being raised in a predominantly white town, and I was literally the only one of me that I saw besides family members until I was about 18. But my point being is that I always would then gravitate to the people that also felt marginalised in TV and media. So my favourite characters growing up were Chihiro from Spirited Away, or Coraline, obviously, from Coraline, and of course Daphne from Scooby Doo. And so I kind of feel, in a way, and again, this can get taken out of context because it is a ridiculous thing to say, but I almost feel a bit like an honorary woman in that regard. But I'm just kind of thinking, if this was a movie about, like, I guess 2 coloured people, and they got rid of like the white cast members, I would feel a bit bad. And you do see some movies getting successful from that, like Black Panther recently did really well. But again, it wasn't omitting the fact that they were part of a bigger cinematic universe with white characters. Again, it's a stupid tangent, but I'm saying, like, there's a right way and a wrong way to do representation. And I kind of think that they've gone the wrong way to the point where they almost felt embarrassed by the source material. That's why they made fun of the outfit with the green scarf and everything. But also, there wasn't a mention, like, they had male characters there, but none of them are Fred. They came up with like 3 or 4 new guys, and just it would have taken nothing for one of them just to be called Fred.
Do you know what? This is where, and I cannot credit Morgan Baden enough and the other writer of the Daphne and Velma book, because they did it how this should have done it. Like, It wasn't like okay, well, this is Daphne and Velma, this is female empowerment, and that means that we are not going to say the name Fred or Shaggy. What they did was saying, okay, look, Velma and Daphne are at the centre of it here. Let's build on their characters, but let's also remember that this is the Scooby Doo universe, so these other characters exist. Shaggy's going to be the one that hosts the party. They're going to have a dog called Scooby, and Fred's going to be another guy that was quite popular. We were all friends when we were younger, but things drifted apart. That works well as a foundation to do a Daphne and Velma kind of thing, be that a book, a movie. That foundation is great. What they did here to try and ostracize anything that wasn't female and feminine about Scooby-Doo was ridiculous. And it's almost like they made Velma fill in for like Shaggy and Scooby with the like speaking with a mouthful and just been slobby. It just wasn't good.
And Velma's a dog in general. No.
Okay, so we're progressing on with the plot. So they break into the kind of Bloom Industries place. I really like how they, you know, the t-shirts they set up earlier that you could choose to fit whatever pattern you wanted.
Oh.
I kind of like how they blend in through using that technology that they discussed initially.
I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I like it conceptually, but I think it's too techy. Like, the kind of goofy things you can do with an international property piece like Scooby-Doo is have things where if you're really skinny and if you can stand short, like very still, you can put a lampshade on your head and you can become a lampshade. Or if there's a suit of armor, you can kind of rush and quickly disguise yourself inside it. Whereas this is very technology based, almost like if you had that technology, it wouldn't be an issue to hide anywhere. And so for me, it was a bit too techy, but it was a fun scene.
Okay. And Smash, I mean, what did you think to like, you know, being able to camouflage thing?
Interesting. I feel like with Scooby, uh, they can get away with this type of stuff a lot, and like having this kind of technology that either doesn't exist or seems very high tech, um, for like an explanation or something. Because like even back in the day in the original cartoon, there were a handful of episodes where like I mean today it's like yeah we could see them doing that or whatever, but back in 1969 they would have been like, whoa, that's so high tech. I can't believe they do that. Like, one that I mean, they could have done it still, but one that I always remember them saying in the old cartoon was um, projecting something against the fog to make it look like it's there. So, like, they'd throw in dry ice into water so that'd create this fog, and then they'd use a projector to project an image against the fog to make it look like it's there and whatever. And again, nowadays it's like, well, we have better ways to do that. We have higher technology, and back then, I that's something I feel like you could still do, but it's just like this technology that these like criminals just have at their disposal and whatever. And for an explanation, the audience a lot of times just kind of goes with it. I mean, I think it's the same with Marvel movies. It's like you go see a Marvel movie, and I mean, I don't know, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, but they're just like, oh yeah, the Galactic Infinity Stones. I don't know. They use all their technical terms, and they're like, and the audience just like, yeah, because that makes sense in this universe, the universe that we're watching. And so, if we were to watch, yeah, I don't know, what's a very like the proposal. If you guys have ever seen that movie, the proposal. If suddenly they were like, yeah, we use this nanotechnology thing in that movie you would have been like, I don't see ground rules that's this works in this world and stuff, but in Scooby's universe, what we've seen, it's like, yeah, these criminals just they get this wild technology that isn't widely available, or they figure out how to rig it that way and whatever. And so while I think this in particular, it was kind of funny. I again, it fits for Scooby's universe how they've presented themselves with technology and stuff.
Yeah, I think like we've all had. I think we've had a really good variety in this episode of different interpretations of things. JayBee certainly offered a lot of positivity I'd not expected him to, and that was a good perspective of seeing things.
Well, anything to highlight a good Daphne is alright in my books, right? Like, obviously Velma I'm always going to be a bit hesitant on, but there's a pretty good Daphne in this, to be honest. And to that end, as a Daphne fan, right? And look, and again, Scooby Purist is like, it doesn't work without the dog. And it's kind of like, listen, if we could get 5 Daphnes, I'll take that dog to the vet myself and put it down.
Oh my god!
Like, I'm just here for Daphne, man. Like, that's me. But it's like, yeah, why not? But then again, that's just me being me.
Okay, so Daphne and Velma now get to the insecurity lift where they're going to compliment each other to get rid of insecurities. And it's kind of like that empowerment thing again, except it's kind of redundant because we have to remember at the start of this movie, for no real reason, Velma's like, I'm not going to be friends with Daphne. She turns, and it's kind of like really almost insincere at this point to stand and compliment each other.
I don't know. I think, oh god, again, it seems like I love the movie. I think it's a good message, right, though? Like, it's a good message.
JayBee might be a Velma simp by the end of this.
No, it's a good message to kids, surely.
It'd be a good message if they didn't isolate a friend at the start of the movie.
No, but that's almost showing that was the wrong thing to do, and then when they started boosting each other up, that's when they succeed.
So they work out, so they get up to the top floor, they see that the machine literally just sucks the creativity out of people, which is how they ended up with the food scanner at the start, things like that.
Is that what happened to the writers of the movie?
It's Tobias Bloom that is the evil guy. This is where we get to the fight scene that we've talked about, where Velma just looks ridiculous, absolutely stupid. But they work out that it's just a hologram. Tobias Bloom's not real. It's actually Carol, which is where we get to the issue that JayBee was talking about earlier, where they're like, oh, you know, you can't be a 16-year-old woman in business, when they, you know, state that they aren't that age, and that's why the technology
Here's my point, though.
is different.
Because I said this the first time we watched the movie. If the casting director, or if the casting director's mindset had been the same as the 2002 movie's casting director, the actress that played Carol would have played Velma. And I think it probably would have been nicer, but I think the wrong thing for Velma. But I can see that the similarities there to the point where, yeah, Carol would have been Velma, and that's my piece.
Okay, so then, despite no unmasking, we still get the meddling kids line. The school's disconnected, and they set up the potential of a sequel that no one wants to happen. So,
But that's the ridiculous. Did they genuinely think? And again, I don't mind what they did. It's just the lack of self-awareness that gets me. Did they genuinely think that, again, like Smash has mentioned Marvel, that people would be like, at the end of the movie, screaming and shouting because, oh my gosh, there's more mysteries.
now, Warner Brothers, I'm speaking directly to you at this stage. Give me another puppet movie. Give me another Lego movie. I will happily take another movie with Kiss in it, for goodness sake. Just do not let them do this absolute shambles again, please. It was shambolic.
I will watch this 5 times before I watch half of that Kiss movie.
I would rather watch the Kiss movie every day for the rest of my life than sit through this again.
No.
So I guess we're taking this too far in terms of opinion. So we are now getting to verdicts. JayBee, as always, we're just going to start with you.
I thought I wanted to start with
Nope.
you. But I nearly said the F word.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to listen back to this and wonder what happened to us all, because I said crap in this and I've never said a bad word in front of Rhianna in my life.
Yeah, but she missed this one for the stupidest reason.
Oh.
Don't talk about Eurovision like that.
I'm just a feminist. I needed 2 women on this. Actually, no, that doesn't sound feminist, does it? That sounds like I'm filling a quota. Look, I'm coloured, you can't criticise me. It's 20. Oh, smash. Well, you can be a woman to me. You can be my woman.
Hey, I was told by my friends years ago, they were like, you are, because, so, random side story that has nothing to do with anything. We were on a trip to a convention, like a comic convention, and we were in like the Airbnb that we were staying in, and it was 3 boys and 2 girls that were there. And the 2 girls at night kept like going into one of their rooms, like locking themselves in there and having what they called girl talk. Anyway, one night I eventually crashed into one of their girl talks or whatever, and I was told that I get honorary girl talk because anyway, so I always take pride in that I get to be part of honorary girl talk.
I wish I would have done that, because I would have used my power for evil.
Look, JayBee, everyone knows you're a creep. Smash isn't a creep. That's why you got invited.
I'm not a creep. Who said that I'm a creep?
The creeper.
Look, if me and Rhianna were trying to have a girl conversation, I'm telling you, would be inviting Smash before you. You are a creep.
Well, I'll agree to that. I'll agree to that, because you guys would just go bonkers, and I'm not there for that. I'm just here to do my thing. I'm here to be like, I'm here to be totally radical, man.
Okay, so Smash or pass.
Okay, so this is a difficult one because I don't know why I'm being asked to do this first, because I think I should go last to round it off.
It's called Smash or pass. We always let Smash go last.
In a more cohesive environment. Okay, here's my thing. There's stuff that I love about this movie, right? I love the Daphne in the movie. I love Arwen in the movie. And oh, here's something I haven't spoken about. I actually really like the score. They kind of play it a few times. It's kind of like it kind of starts almost like a violin thing, like and in the back you kind of play almost this alien type sound, like
Yeah.
like I like that. I like it a lot. In fact, I think I prefer it to the music from Mystery Begins. Not as much as I like Lake Monster, 2002, Monsters Unleashed, because all that music's just elite. I don't know if David Newman slept through The Mystery Begins. Who knows? But he did masterpieces for all the other movies. Whereas this is only the one score, like song that I like from the score in this, but I do like it a lot. Again, Sarah Gilman, I think, looks the part of Velma more than I think any other ones that I've seen. I just don't know. I don't know if I can pass it, or smash it based on that. Because at its core, I don't think that this movie was made with the right purposes. I think they made it with the wrong purposes in that they wanted to make a movie of something else, but then realised that they would just attach it to almost somewhat of the Scooby branding, just because people would go, like what we're doing now, we're almost feeding into it. Let's talk about it on this Scooby podcast. Let's build intrigue. Let's, have more sales on the DVD or whatever.
I mean, can I interrupt to ask Smash a question that might add some context to things?
Yeah.
Smash, to what extent did Warner Brothers approve this? Like, was it they said, okay, let's do a Daphne Velma movie. Here's the studios we're gonna, because I think Ashley Tisdale and her sister had created, a mini studio together or something. Was it that they, signed off to them? Was it that they approached Warner Brothers saying, I know this is your IP, but this is what we want to do? How did Warner Brothers sign this off, kind of thing?
So what had happened was, Ashley Tisdale and her sister made kind of this production studio, and it was supposed to be all about girl empowerment, making these movies and stories of girl power, basically. And they wanted their first movie to be the most popular girl duo the world knows. And so Ashley Tisdale and her sister reached out to Warner Brothers, and that's basically how they pitched it of, we want to make a movie about Daphne and Velma, show girl power, and that girls can do it. They can solve mysteries. They can blah, 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 blah. And Warner Brothers just kind of said, all right, sure. And then at that point, I think is a little more where Warner Brothers just kind of gave the stamp of approval, and then Ashley Tisdale and her team just kind of went, all right, we have our title. Let's go make a movie. Doesn't matter anything else. Just we can now put that trademark, Daphne and Velma. And so Warner Brothers honestly did not have a lot of involvement in it. It was kind of like a what's the word? Kind of like almost like an indie film type thing where it's like a side project, whatever. And from what I've heard, and we can clearly see the budget for this movie was basically non-existent, and so I've heard a lot of the cast members and stuff, it was like you filmed what you needed and then you skedaddled, you left. There was no oh, there's snacks here and food or whatever. It's no, bye, you filmed your scene, bye, you're done, bye. It was Warner Brothers did not give them a budget at all. It was just here's a camcorder, hold it with your hand, go film this.
Okay, so JayBee, I don't know if that helps add context for you.
No. Well, it helps add my personal context. It helps a lot. With my verdict, I don't think a great deal. I think I'm going to compare this movie a bit to how people compare the Amazing Spider-Man movies, right? People really hate those, but it didn't stop people from, spoiler alert, being excited at the prospect, the chance of possibly Andrew Garfield returning to the role. And so to that extent, I'm going to pass this movie. However, if they ever did a multiversal movie about Daphne, they had Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kate Melton, Grey DeLisle, all the previous Daphnes, but they leave out Sarah Jeffery, I will be somewhat not disappointed with it, because that would just be like a dream come true with the Daphne thing. But if the only one that isn't introduced again is Sarah Jeffery, I will be disappointed that she wasn't brought back. I'll say that much.
I would personally say I'd be more disappointed if the one from the fan-made series wasn't reintroduced before this one, because I think the fan-made series is so much better
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
than this. So
Yeah,
I guess moving on to my verdict with this, I said it in the middle of this, what I wanted to say. I genuinely do feel like they took the concept of Scooby Doo, ripped its heart out, and slapped Disney Channel original on the cover. To me, that's exactly what it is. It's like that spoilt brat you see in every Disney Channel original thing. You know, it was like the life Daphne has at the start of this. It's Sharpay, where everything she has is what she wants. So, of course, Ashley Tisdale's there. It's London Tipton with the talking mirror. It's everything that Disney originals scream. And to that end, I'm surprised Warner Brothers would even allow this to have happened.
I'm not.
But it did. So it is what it is. But it's something that should be left where it is. It should be like Mystery Map, where they refuse to print copies of it anymore. It should be like this never existed. It was a huge error. It was a huge mistake. It's the worst Velma we've ever seen. Honestly, I'll take Kate Micucci any day over this.
Oh, no, I'm not.
No, I stand by this.
No. You take that back. That's awful.
I will not take that back. I stand by it. Kate Micucci is a better Velma than this person. I'm so sorry.
I strongly disagree.
But the character, it might not be that they're a bad actress. It might just be that the scripting of it was bad. The direction of it was bad. The outfits for it were bad. Like, it's awful. And like I say, to watch it where we've just seen Mystery Incorporated not a week ago, where that was just pure, it was fan made, and that spoke for itself. It was so true to what Scooby is. This just missed out on so many things, from the name of the school. Like Smash said, there was that chance Daphne had a pre-existing web series they could have picked up on, that they would have if it were made by the people that have done Mystery Incorporated. It was like there was nothing but idiots behind the camera that wrote it, that directed it, that made the outfits for it. To spell the name Daphne wrong, right? And I don't care that like, people might say that I'm picking up on little things for no reason, but for me, if you're working in the wardrobe department of a movie and you can't spell the name of a title character, and not only that, but the idiots that are recording you speaking where that's written in the background don't pick up on it, the people that edit the additional features and put it together don't notice it, and they then publish it on the DVD that's sold all the way across the world, the lot of you look like absolute morons. How did no one pick up on that before the DVD landed on a shelf? I genuinely think this entire thing's embarrassing. It's the worst Scooby thing we've seen so far. It is honestly the biggest pass. I think it's hilariously terrible. Does anyone really love this movie? Because it wouldn't surprise me, because I kind of think if it didn't try and brand itself as a Daphne and Velma thing, and if I just stumbled across it, I wouldn't hate it, right? Like, I don't think I'd be this, oh, it's a disappointment. I just thought it was, okay, that was kind of bad, but it wasn't awful. Like, stuff that I like from childhood that was Disney original or whatever, like The Minutemen, I don't think that's a masterclass in filmmaking, but I always have fun with it. And I don't know, because we've praised the Mystery Incorporated series a lot, right? But I've seen some people online that absolutely despise that, and it's the Scooby purist, so not everything is going to be for everyone. And so to that extent, what I'll say is, if you do really love this movie, I guess keep loving it, you know, because there are merits to the film. It's just not one, I don't think, for, I guess, me, not one for Milly. I think it's a generational thing, because the people that don't like Mystery Begins maybe don't like it because they were the generation before.
The Melton one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they don't like it because they were the generation before, whereas for me and you, we like it because it was on TV when we were growing up.
Yeah.
My little niece, who's 7, maybe stumbled across this movie. I've not asked her. Maybe she stumbled across this movie, and because it's like, oh, look, there's a talking wardrobe and stuff like that, and there's technology, they're like, oh, this is my era, this is really cool, I like this. So maybe it's just generational. Yeah. But for me, if you've appreciated the pre-existing material before this and then stumble across this, it is just a huge, embarrassing downgrade.
This is one for Generation TikTok, maybe.
I just think it is terrible. It really, really is. And like, I do think maybe I'm being too fussy.
No,
But like,
it's your
to
opinion.
spell the name Daphne wrong is ridiculous. It is just so embarrassing. It really is. I feel so sorry for the people that's worked on it because, like, Sarah Jeffery and stuff, I feel like it's a shame to them to be associated.
Yeah, that's what. Okay, yeah, again, like with Andrew Garfield and all that stuff, I think with the right script, with the right production team, and the right storyline, and I guess I dare say the right Shaggy, Fred, Scooby to go along with it, both Sarah Jeffery and Sarah Gilman could be great Daphnes. That's what I think.
I just think it's like people almost behind the scenes that's let this one down
BTS.
so badly because, and like for Ashley Tisdale, the person who runs the studios that did it, to be like, I wanted people to know who they were. So Daphne's purple and Velma's orange, and it's like, you're so stupid. You're so painfully stupid. I had so much respect for you growing up, but genuinely after this movie, I swear it's all gone. Like, literally, this movie makes her look like the dumb blonde they try and paint her out as in High School Musical. I'm not even kidding. It's so bad, and it is the worst Scooby product in existence.
Yeah, well done, Ashley Tisdale. You just been put your crap on Smash podcast.
Okay, so Smash. I guess this is the last time, right? Literally, this is the last time we are asking Smash this question in regards to a Scooby Doo movie because we actually did it.
No.
We got through all the movies. I'm so sorry it's ending on this one. But Smash, for the last time, would you say smash or pass to Daphne and Velma?
I'm emotional.
Oh, this is a sad moment. It was a year ago. And now I'm back in the room where I left where we started. Well, no, by a week.
Smash.
I left the room. Okay, little emotional moment. I'm right now sitting in the room that I left when we initially started this, and now we've come full circle. We're done, and I'm back here sitting in the room. But
this is just...
Daphne and Velma. I know, I remember recording our first episode, and I was moving, and I was actually putting up my Scooby shelf in the new room. And now here I am back here in my Scooby shelf. It's funny, I should send you guys a picture. I have now on my Scooby shelf all of the signed stuff from the people we've interviewed is up top. It's like it's all
on
come
your
full
recent
circle.
video, right? What was it? Oh no, it was the singing video that we watched, and they were all on display. Or was it that one? Maybe that one. I don't know. Oh,
But anyway, yeah, I'll send you guys a picture so you can see.
Thank
But anyway, Daphne and Velma. This one's a thing. Cause like when I do live streams and stuff, which I haven't done one for a hot minute, but I have some people that are genuinely like, do not speak of that movie. We do not acknowledge that movie. Like it doesn't exist and stuff. And so whenever I do a live stream, it's just kind of become a joke now of like, ooh, someone said the DMV word. Someone brought the forbidden apple. But I remember this coming out and I watched it and I didn't hate it. I wasn't like, oh, this is a piece of trash. But I also was like, forgetful. Like, add that next to my collection of Disney Channel original movies. Like, because like half the stars in this movie are from Disney. You have Arwen, you have both Sarahs. The girl who played the villain, can't remember her character name or her real name. But she was, or she is, shoot, now I'm really spacing on names. The girl who played Allie in Austin and Allie, that's her sister.
No way. I knew it reminded me of her.
What's that?
Yeah, that's her sister.
Right, JayBee, when we get off this call, you're watching Lemonade Mouth. That's the first thing you're doing. And then we're going to have a crash course in Austin and Ally.
Is there anything for me to
I love
enjoy?
Austin Alley.
Because there's some stuff that I
Yeah, you know the guy from Teen Beach movie with the blonde hair? That's Austin.
No.
Yeah.
I'll watch Sam and Cat with you if you want.
No.
I'll happily watch that. Actually, I don't think I can say that now. Maybe when I was 15.
You simp for Ariana Grande about as hard as you simp for Daphne.
No. Well,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
She's better. Right.
JayBee.
Anyway, so again, yeah, I don't hate this movie. I don't love this movie. It just kind of exists. I now with those Daphne and Velma books out, I'm kind of like, those should be the movies instead. But that's just me. But I'm honestly struggling because like my initial like reaction is just to go, oh, pass. But I'm also like, I could very, very lightly smash this one, but you have to be in the right mood or the right audience for it. It's like I feel like this is a movie that's targeted towards a very specific audience and like a very much more casual Scooby fan. So like if you didn't know much Scooby lore or history, you wouldn't care a lot that it's like they missed out on a lot of opportunities. But at the same time, again, has to be the right audience because even my friend's mom, this was a few months ago now, she was talking to me. She's like, "Hey, so I saw like on Hulu or something. There's a Daphne and Velma movie." I was like, "Oh yeah, they did that a few years ago." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "You can watch it." I was like, "It's not horrible, but it's not anything groundbreaking." And she's like, "Okay, I'll watch it." And then she comes back and she's like, "I hated that. Why did you tell me to watch that? That was disgusting and whatever." And I was like, "Okay, so it's not for you." Like, yeah, we know. So that's this movie is just so bad. Its targeted audience is just so specific and so small that I'm at the end. At the end, I'm just going to say a very light pass.
So
That makes sense. And I guess one thing that they do, I think rightly, because they include it but they don't make a thing about it, is I kind of like the fact that Daphne being from a mixed race family was just seen as a non-issue. It wasn't like, oh, look at us, look how progressive we are. It just was. I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
So I guess that concludes the movies. I mean, I personally
Do you
would
reckon Daphne would want
say
any Indian in her?
JayBee, stop. Now. What I'd say finishing this episode is if you want to see Daphne and Velma done as best it can be, like really well, to go and check out the Daphne and Velma books. I did love them so much.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate this cast being in an adaptation of those books, right? I wouldn't hate it. It wouldn't be my choice, especially now when we're a bit of, a few years on. Not like they're too old, but I think it would need some fresh blood at this point, but I wouldn't hate it.
I could be hated for this. I'd either want Velma recast or to be made less quirky.
Well, yeah,
Like,
it would be the adaptation of the book, right?
I don't like what they did with Velma at all. But yeah, moving on. So we finished the movies. So next week's plan is to do like a Scooby Doo Q&A.
The last episode ever.
As JB's titled it. Don't let names fool you. We have plans to do series.
No, but literally, it's ever since, what was it? It was before Rhianna. It was maybe when we reviewed Mask of the Blue Falcon. I always said that it was the last episode ever, didn't it? And it was that specific wording. I don't know why I decided to call it that. Okay, it wasn't the finale or the last movie review. It was literally just the last episode ever.
So people can submit their questions for that on Instagram. Just DM us on Twitter.
We got quite a few on Instagram already. Loads from YouTube. Actually, a ridiculous amount on YouTube, to the point where I think we might even need to do a part 1 and part 2, which I'm going to try and avoid. But yeah, I guess if you want to comment down a question below, #Lee, right? So I know it's for the last episode ever. I don't know. I don't know, you can do that.
Just ask any questions.
Ask any question.
We'll get JayBee
and
to
we'll tell you
include them.
no lies.
But yeah, I guess in terms of community news, do we have anything?
I guess the Mystery Incorporated web series got 2 million views. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So, and they deserve it, right? They deserve all the views because that's just such a good thing. And to be on YouTube as well. And I said this on Twitter, even if you despise the heck out of it, if you do watch YouTube, if you support YouTubers in any capacity, it's a great thing for the platform overall to have something with that budget and production value, pretty much exclusive to the platform. It's tremendously good for all of us.
And somebody who cares about, for something to be made Scooby that's cared about by the people making it so much as well, it just gives it a new level for me, I think, personally. In terms of community news, it really isn't much, but I guess, and we may have mentioned this in a week or so ago, but Primark in the UK are doing Scooby Doo t-shirts. They say Crystal Cove on them. Got the gang in the Mystery Machine. We picked one up for JayBee yesterday, and they're just really cute. They're literally only £6 in Primark. They're amazing. I think that does it for us, right? Smash, do you have any community news?
Kind of. I mean, this is again for a very specific audience. If anyone is in Utah or the Salt Lake area around September 22nd through the 4th, they just announced that Matthew Lillard will be at Fan X, which is where Frank Welker, who I met last year, was at. So I plan to at least go one day specifically just to go meet Matthew and get an autograph from him. So, but yeah, if you're anywhere close to the area, that's something exciting.
That's amazing. Like, when we met Matthew Lillard, he was such a nice guy, and their autograph is peng as well. So literally anything that you can get signed, do get signed, because they're an awesome person. So yeah, if anyone is around that area, definitely recommend doing that. I guess channel news is that, oh gosh, so this will be released at
Sunday.
10 p.m. Sunday. And so on the Friday, we released our interview with Bob Bergen, who, of course, was Eric from the Cyber Chase, but also some other stuff as well, like Bucky the Squirrel from Kronk's New Groove, Emperor's New Groove, and Emperor's New School. Oh gosh, a load of things as well, like Porky Pig from the Looney Tunes, Tweety Bird from the Looney Tunes. And then, just now, as of recording this on the Saturday, we released our interview with Bill Bowes, which we recorded like the 15th of February. It's been so weird, and it's the last interview that we recorded at our, well, not our old place, but at the place before this. So it's kind of, it was weird just dipping in and out of the premiere to see that again, and just to think about the fact that we were little babies even back in February, and now we're old. Now I'm a silver fox. But yeah, check out them, because I think our output is actually on fire at the moment. I think we're producing a lot of good stuff, but I don't know. And we're modest as well, so that's a bonus.
Well, JayBee isn't.
No, I'm not. What about you, Millie?
Okay, so I guess that kind of does it for news and everything. I guess at this point, I want to say some thank yous. I want to say thank you to Smash, firstly, because you have dedicated your time and you've gone through every single one of those movies with us. Like you say, it's been just over a year, but like, it is amazing. Like, honestly, we can't see something that's Jurassic World related and not think about how like our friendship started and stuff like that. We were at the cinema yesterday and we saw this huge Jurassic World Dominion poster on the wall, kind of like what JayBee has for Daphne. That was when that was out in 2002, and we're like, oh, I wish we could get that and post it to Smash. Like, when this movie's finished, I wish we could just go to the cinema, pick it up and post it over to him. Like, oh, it's so good. So thank you so much for being here throughout these movies. Thank you to everybody who listens to the podcast for being here throughout all those movies, for all the other kind of guest people we've had along the way that's done reviews with us as well. And yeah, next week, like we say, submit your questions for that. Anything that you've wanted to know that we haven't gone into in regards to these movies. I know, like, a question I have targeted for Rhianna is going to be, what is your like least favorite movies, because so far they've been so positive about everything. So any questions you have as well, like we say, you can comment them below, you can message us them on Instagram, Twitter. The links to our social medias will be down below, as well as, like we say, smASH's social media links, his YouTube channel. Do go and check that out, because honestly, there is always so much great content on there. And certainly a lot more great content coming in at the minute as well, which is so good to see. We're really enjoying that. I don't think I've got anything else left to add. So at this point, just please subscribe to the channel. There are great things coming. Like we say, the Q&A next week, and after that, Smash or Pass is going to continue. We are moving on to series, and that's going to be so good as well. It's kind of next new era. But I guess this is the end of this one.
It's a pilot. It's a pilot.
Again, just a huge thank you to Smash.
Era,
We appreciate you
boy.
so much.
Oh gosh, that's the end of
I
it.
know. Well, thank you, y'all. I remember I had COVID when you guys originally asked me to do this, and I was like, sure, I got nothing better to do. I honestly did not plan, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this for like a year. I was like, yeah, this will be fun. I mean, it's been fun, don't get me wrong, but it's so weird to think, because all these episodes now, because there's been so much that's been going on in my life this past year, and every episode that I'm a part of, because there have been some for reasons that I couldn't make it for, but all these episodes now have they're like a piece of all this journey I've been going through this last year. So when you guys were like, it's time for the next era, I was a little like, please let this one be a little more nicer to me.
Well,
It certainly will
we
be.
think it will be, because even just the nature of what we're doing, with it being a bit more, I guess it'll have to be more streamlined and less conversational, by the nature of it, or we're gonna be, but I guess you can quantify it in a certain way, so you can imagine, even though I am standing by that this is just a pilot, right? So right now, if someone asked me, but are you going to be reviewing a pup named Scooby Doo or Mystery Incorporated? I don't know. I really don't know. But if you think, you can have goals, right? Like again, I'm threatening Rhianna, watch Endgame before Scooby Doo on a Mummy 2. Before we do that, or I'm just gonna spam you with spoilers. I don't know. It could almost be let's achieve this by when this would be released, and I don't know. I think this will be a better era in a way, but
I guess on the movies though, whenever one is released, we want to come back to doing this movie. Oh my gosh, this is the last time we're doing a movie with this artwork. Because we have a new artwork starting for the series. So until a new movie comes out, until Warner Brothers sort stuff out.
But that's not even the holiday one, is
new
it?
artwork,
special?
new everything. Oh my gosh. Wow, stuff's about to change. But yeah, I guess we do need to wrap up this episode. I know Smash has got work soon and stuff like that. So thank you so much for everyone for listening. Thank you again to Smash for the last year and all your time with that, as well as everyone else who's featured on the channel in that time.
It's so great.
Please subscribe to the channel, and like we say, we will see you for generation 2 of Smash or Pass?
Whoa.
Season 2.
Whoa.